to the street. The Lekeisha Mosley Show. The Lekeisha Mosley Show. The Lekeisha Mosley Show. And they talk about nothing but the unseen and unspoken issues while providing encouragement and love and understanding. She talks about issues that people in high places and influences are afraid to discuss publicly. Stay tuned. It's about to get real live. And you're tuned in to the Lekeisha Mosley Show.
Amen. Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. It is Lekeisha of the Lekeisha Mosley Show, and I'm so excited to be before you this evening. We have an exciting show tonight, and God is literally in control, and He has some words He wants to tell you tonight, and we're going to have a good time. So I'm going to go ahead and get things started. Our topic is going to be on Seed Season Evolved. Seed season evolved. If you think about that word, seed, it's constantly growing. If you let it grow, if you put water in it, if you put the food it needs to be in it, and each season has a part of that growth that allows God to really illume and blow up in your life. So I'm excited about this topic because I believe we're going to have a lot of things that God really wants to show you tonight, and I have an amazing special guest to have this conversation with, and we're going to go ahead and introduce her. This is an amazing woman, is an entrepreneur. She is also an author. She's also a CEO and founder of the Wake Up Call Radio and TV Network. I have Mrs. and Pastor Annie SALLEY. Annie, are you here with me this evening?
Yes, I am. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be on the Lekeisha Mosley Show. I'm so excited to hear everything about you because you have so many amazing things going on. But I know a whole lot about you, but I want you to go ahead and take a few minutes to tell the studio audience a little bit about you and your path moving forward.
Well, as you stated, I'm Annie SALLEY. I'm originally from Orangeburg, South Carolina. I now reside here in Columbia, Maryland. I've been married to the same guy for almost 32 years. We have co-authored 3 books, relationship books: When the Vow Breaks, A Journey from Hurt to Healing, Second Time's a Charm, Because We Didn't Give Up on Us, and Beware of the Intimacy Snatchers. And he's also here to chime in tonight.
Amen. Pastor Warren, I would love to hear a little bit about you as well, because you are a dynamic duo that is moving and shaking things in the earth today for God's glory.
Thank you for having us on tonight. As my wife stated, we've been married for nearly 32 years. She's authored a book alone, Wake Up Call, and we've authored 3 books, as she stated earlier. We have 5 kids and
8 grands.
8 grands with another one on the way.
Amen.
Yes. God has been so faithful. It's been so good. And I tell you, the journey has just began, and we thank you guys for having us on tonight, because God is really opening doors for us to do great and wonderful things on this coming year.
And We're also the owners of Wake Up Call Radio and Television International Network, where we have a diverse group of topics, and also host on that show from health and wellness to inspirational, what else? Health and wellness, inspiration, preaching, teaching. Yes. So we've been doing this for quite some time. We also have pastored a church for 14 years in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been out here a while.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I really just see God is moving forward in your lives, and you're pretty much the testament and the example of the topic today, just seed, season, evolve, how the seed continues to grow and continues to bloom, and it continues to grow and move forward in so many different ways, right? Where God's just blowing your mind on what He can do with the seeds. What do you think about this journey that God has you on?
It's amazing. You know, when you first gave us the topic, we had to really say, okay, God, what are you up to? I don't know if you know, but inside the book, When the Bow Breaks, we talk about our past relationship where we were both married for 1 to 3 years. So this is our second marriage. We have a blended family. And so we're faced and have been faced with challenges all along the way because of our diversity and because of our blendedness and because of the second marriage. So that comes with a lot of challenges.
Absolutely.
Challenges, and we talk about it.
Yes, and in saying with the seed, and I tell you, as my wife stated earlier, how fitting this and how thought-provoking this question really is. When you're thinking about seed, the hardest time between sowing and harvest is the waiting for the harvest to come. And that was something for me personally that I had to do, was to learn patience and waiting in the midst of my sowing. Waiting for God to manifest. Absolutely, manifest. Even during our hard times when we didn't think there was going to be a harvest. The harvest was on the way.
Yeah.
It's just that God had to show us patience.
Yes.
Had to teach us patience.
Yes.
Well, my wife is more patient than I am, but that teach me patience.
Oh, yeah. Patience had to come both ways.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, wow. I feel you on that. You know, it's funny because I'm remarried myself, and I totally could understand just how God is not done with you yet. And He's never finished, right? And He's forever beginning again in your life. And He's, you got to trust Him. But that trust, sometimes you're like, God, I'm transparent on this show, just to let you know. I'm like, God, wow, I wanted to know this yesterday. I wanted to know my whole life, yesterday. But I had to wait on the process. It's like, I don't really want to wait on the process, God, and just keep it real. That's a lot of people in the studio audience is really feeling that, right? How do we begin to trust God in that process, when things are in the weeds and we know it's going to bloom, but right now I'm still in the weeds. So let us know how that process was for you, when you began to evolve.
That's a good question. Yeah, we talk about this a lot on our Love and Marriage talk show because we want people to understand. We are believers, and that does not stop us from going through. That does not hinder us from being human.
Right.
We're still human, and we have to go through in order to get to. And in the midst of the time, my dad was a farmer, and he taught me some valuable lessons, even as he built our home. And I would come home after working in my salon all day, and I'm ready to see the windows in. I'm ready to put up the draperies. And he would say to me, the foundation is the most important part of the process. Now, what does that mean? It means you have to go deep. And I believe that the reason we need faith is because God wants us to go deep. And we don't know just how deep we are until we're tested, or how deep or how much more deep we should go and can go until we're tested. My husband and I, we were talking today about Elijah. We know the man of God to be a mighty man of valor. We know Elijah to he pulled the water on the wood, and he called down fire from heaven, and he just made the other people look like they didn't have any faith because they didn't believe in his God. But then a few chapters forward, we find the same man of God, Elijah, under the Jupiter tree, asking God to let him die.
Wow.
Oh.
That is really phenomenal. My God.
Yes. So we go from season to season.
Yes.
And we go up and we go down, we go up, we go down. And the Bible in Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plan that I think toward you." And that may make us happy at one point. But he said he knows. He didn't say we know. So when we don't know, the flesh reacts. Then fear comes in, and anxiety, frustration, depression, and all of these human issues attack us because we live in this mortal body, except we walk in the Word of God and we believe God, we will not make it. There are days when I feel like I'm just holding on to a piece of string, and the wind is coming from every side, and I'm like, God, do you see me here? And of course he sees me. He sees me.
Yes.
But he knows that in order to get the best out of me, I have to go through the pressure. I have to be squeezed. So I've learned, Lekeisha, in this season to say it is well. It is well. Does it feel well? No, absolutely not. But my spirit says it's well because God is more for me than the world against me. So that's what keeps me charging forward.
Wow. That is so real. Wow. Everyone, if you're just tuning in to my podcast right now on the Lekeisha Mosley Show, I have the amazing, amazing pastors on the show tonight, and they are Mr. and Mrs. SALLEY. And we're talking about, oh, wow, this is an amazing topic. You have to understand just how seed time is always moving forward, is always growing and blooming. And even if you're in the weeds, like they just said just now, that too shall pass. You know what? Yeah. I do know this. I can look at it now, and I know sometimes we always say this afterwards, but it's so true. I wouldn't change a bit of that process. I wouldn't change that read process at all.
No, ma'am.
Wow.
You're absolutely right.
You feel me on that, my Lord?
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely, because it was those weeds that helped to strengthen our marriage. Because people, when they look at us, the people that been knowing us for a while, they say, "Wow, I wish I had a marriage like you guys have," but they just don't know.
They don't know the story.
In the midnight hours with it.
Yes,
and when the rubber meets the road.
They just don't know. This is just you looking through all of the weeds and you were like, God, I said, God, now you got to give me some patience. You got to give me some wisdom on how to handle this, because and as you say, Lekeisha, the weeds is what strengthen our bonds, strengthen our marriage, strengthen our faith, and I agree. I wouldn't have it any other way than how what God has done through us, and through our situation.
I want to piggyback on what you just said, babe. You began to talk about the weed and how people look at the outward part, and they see the big picture, but they don't understand what it takes. And that's why, Lekeisha, we were compelled to write the book, because God has been good to us, but there were seasons where we lost hope. There were seasons when we didn't know which way to go. There were seasons where depression set in and anxiety and frustration. Mm-hmm. And, you know, oftentimes my single girlfriends, they make mention that they're lonely and I wish I had a relationship like you. Your husband is always there and he's always doing this and doing that. But what they don't understand, and I want people to understand this, we have individuality. What that means is I have my inner struggles as he has his. Though we are one unit, God created us individually. And so marriage, we have to learn how to bring that together, to let each other in when we're hurting, when we're discouraged, when we're depressed. You know, that's the hardest challenge because we were taught to be strong. We were taught not to be wimps. We were taught from the word, be courageous, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. So then we don't know sometimes how to react during the storm and who to lean on because we were taught to be strong.
Wow, that is so true. A lot of times we're taught to be strong and we're not taught that we are human and that we do have that space of vulnerability, you know. A lot of times, you know, God does things. God is so intentional. He's so intentional, right?
Yes.
It's so true. And he does things for a reason. Sometimes he does it to show us that we are, you know, a vessel, you know, and that he's going to fill us and he's going to supply us what we need. You know, a lot of times we try to be strong without him. We try to just say, you know what, God, I got this. I totally got this. I got to be strong. You know, I'm going to be courageous. And God's like, no, I need you to lean on me.
I posted that scripture today. Yes. Lean on me. Lean not to our own understanding, and he will direct our path.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, Lekeisha, being, you know, speaking from a man's perspective, you know, we are wired to handle life's challenges when it comes against the family, and sometimes we get in God's way because we feel like you know, I'm the man, let me handle this, and not be patient enough to wait on God to come in,
or even ask for help, you know. Because there's a season when I'm like, babe, what's going on? Talk to me. And I can see that something's going on, but you're shouldering it all alone. And you don't have to do that anymore. But God imposed that on the male when he said that you're the head.
Right.
You know, you're the protector and the provider. And we get that. But he didn't say we couldn't be vulnerable. You know, he didn't say we couldn't ask for help.
Right.
And so oftentimes we lose that, and men lose that sense of being. I can recall, and is this a safe place to even mention it, our testimony?
Oh, yeah.
Like many years
Absolutely.
Many years ago when I owned and operated this beauty salon, making tons of money, and I was so blessed in that season of my life, and my dad was building our home, and he would come to the salon and get hundreds of dollars to go and get lumber and get bricks and whatever he needed. It was coming through my hand. But during this season, my husband was between jobs, and I did not understand what that felt like for him, because in my mind, this is us. I got us during this season. Yeah. But he lost his sense of purpose at the peak and the height of my career. He lost his sense of purpose because I was the one that was doing all of this. But then God imposed this man's plan to him to say, you're the head, you're the provider. And so he didn't know what to do with that. And I think what we're seeing in our society is a lot of people questioning this. You know, what do I do? I'm the man, but this is a professional woman. She's a businesswoman. She's an entrepreneur. She don't need me. She wants this relationship. Versus the day when our parents were growing up, they needed a man. They needed to have someone to take care of them. We're not there today. We're not there today. So that poses a problem.
Wow, that is so true. A lot of times we don't realize this is a different season. This is a different time in our lives where we're operating differently. So we have to, it's just like you just said that. It's just, we have to understand that in this season, we have to keep up with God because, we can't use, in other words, you can't use old wineskins
new skin
in order to keep it moving.
Right.
Come on now. Y'all know
it. And Lekeisha, for the most part, we see the church right there.
Oh, yeah.
They're still putting old wine in new wineskin. They're still trying to do things the traditional way, the way they were taught, the way their parents taught them. And people they're looking around and saying, "Where's the church?" We went to an amazing church yesterday, and I told my husband, I said, "This is what God wants." There was the divorce ministry, the marriage ministry, the children's ministry, the outreach pantry. People were getting food. They were getting connected. They were doing things and using their gifts and talents. But so much of the church is left in the dust. And the pastor, he's the teacher, he is the devotion leader, he's the praise and worship leader. I mean, he's doing everything, but God set gifts and talent in the body for purpose. Yes. And when people can't find who they are and they can't use their gifts and talents, guess what? They walk away weary. So what happens to the family? What happens to the marriage? It falls apart.
My Lord. Oh, my goodness. It's so funny. I was literally just talking to my producer right before we started the show. We were just talking about, just how, when you're connected with people that are, in the same, mindset as you, and, because you're moving forward too, just like we're moving forward. And we have to understand that we can't do everything, even though we can, be good at it, but we may not be great at it. Like God called us to be great at our area, and he called us to, be disciples of Christ in order to show others, hey, God called you to be great in your area. And then when we connect all together, we're united, and then we're a powerful vessel, right? And then we're able to actually move in the kingdom of God. God didn't just, he didn't call for us to stay stagnant in our old season.
No,
that season is dried up. We have to take the mantle and take on the next season and keep it moving for our next generation to have an example so they can keep it moving, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we need one another. That's the way we were created. We were created with a void. Therefore, we need God. We were created to be insufficient in some areas. Therefore, we need other people. Some people are the arms, some are the legs. So find your place and be effective in your place. I see people all over the place and they're exhausted and they are burnt out. Why? Because you're going against the grain. You're going against God's purpose for your life. He strengthens us when we go with him. You don't run out of gas. There are many seasons in my life when I ran out of gas doing things. We've owned adult daycares and learning centers and healthcare centers, and we've been great at it. Beauty salon, we were great at it. But when the season was over, we had to learn to let it go and move on.
Wow.
And there's a lot of people that are just holding on, and God is saying, let it go. That was for then, and this is for now. So we have to stay in tune with the voice of God so we can stay in the now of God.
Wow, the now of God. That's a message right there. Oh, wow. That's information that we all needed to I believe that we receive healing on this show because we provide information. We perish for, with lack of knowledge, right? And God says, we crumble when we don't know, the next step to move forward. So we have to understand that we have to, keep our creativities alert up, right? We have to make sure we allow God in, because Holy Spirit, He's moving. He's not stagnant. You got to keep up.
Amen. Yeah, you are so right, and that's why platforms such as these are so vital in spreading God's word, because there's so many people that are utilizing social media and platforms such as what you have to spread the word and they're, like you said, they're behind the times and not utilizing what God has put out there to get this word out, to get the people that are depressed and from the show we used to do on depression. Oh my God, it is so mind-boggling the amount of people that would call in and share the stories of depression and things, because people in our community, our culture, we don't address it because it puts a stigma on us. So and having platforms like this and to where they can call in or they can discuss, safe place to discuss what they're dealing with, and someone else can say, you know what, I'm dealing with that same thing.
Absolutely. And we go through our testimonies for a reason. They're attached. Yeah. And once God redirects our focus, sometimes we're out of focus. Sometimes we just need a tune-up. And so a big storm comes. And so I've learned in the midst of the storm to just look around and say, God, what is it? What is it you're trying to get to me or through me? There's a reason. All things work together for the good of those that love God and that are called according to the purpose. He says that He will lead and guide and direct our path. So if we find ourselves in a pit, there's a reason. But we look at the outward man, and we look at our spouses, and we look at our family mate, and then we begin to say, it's because of her. No, remember when Job was tested? God had to give the devil the permission to test Job.
Yes.
So if we're in a test, we have to be mindful to know that God has given the enemy permission to test us. So there should be a greater outcome on the other side of the storm.
All right.
My goodness, that is so amazing that you said that, because a lot of times we don't think that God is truly in control, and he sometimes take us through, this journey, that may not look pretty, but He's taking us through the journey really to open our eyes up, to let us know, that there is a greater calling for us. You said something that's so amazing, that's so true, and we were talking about this before too. We have to understand that each and every one of us, even our babies, they all have a calling, and God has gifted them with their calling as young, before they came on the scene. So we have to understand that. I understand that you want your kids to do this, you want them to do that. My parents did it too. They wanted me to do this. They wanted me to do that. They didn't understand what I was trying to do. They don't understand that, I went to the military. They don't understand that I went all these things, because it's not something that they did, but at the same time, they're like, I know my dad, he always said, I don't understand all the things that you're doing because I've never done this before, but I know that, I know that God is with you, and I know you were taught right. In other words, He gave me the foundation. But He said, I know God got you, but I am nervous, daughter, what you're doing. But I said, yes. Isn't that something? So tell us about that a little bit.
About that just today. My husband and I were just talking about that today. We had a blended family. When we got married, my son was 2, his girls were 2 and 3. So now we have adult children. However, we're still their parents, but we're parenting from a different perspective.
Right.
So we can't baby them forever. We need to move and trust the process and trust what we put in them, that they're going to make it. They're going to have to fall. They're going to have to fail, but they will make it. But we've done what God has called us to do. We raised them, and we gave them the tools that we were supposed to give them. Now they're going to have to find their path. You know, I was even thinking about that to the point where I remember my grandfather saying, I was so excited. I was in school for nursing, and then I jumped in cosmetology school, and my mindset was, I'm going to do them both. I'm going to get both of my license, and then I'll be able to open my salon, run my salon when I'm older, but I'll nurse right now. So I'll have something to fall back on. And when I went to my grandfather's house, and I'm excited, and he's like, Annie, what are you doing now? He said, you're still nursing, house nursing. I said, yeah, but I'm also in cosmetology school. And he said, you're like a bear. You're making tracks, but you're not getting anywhere. And I had to really ponder on that thing. And that's like the body of Christ. That's like believers today. They're jumping here. They're doing this. They're doing that. They're doing that. So they're not doing anything effective, but they're doing a lot of stuff. You see Mary does this, so you jump out and you do this. You see Jack do this. This church does this, so you feel you were called to do it. But did God really call you to do it? So there's no grace when God didn't call you to do those things. And so he taught me a valuable lesson. Do what you feel that you're called to do, and do it well. And stop jumping all over the place.
Wow, that was a word right there, everyone. That was so true. That took me a minute to understand that, everyone, just that process of understanding, when God, provides, he gives us a vision, and he always provides the provision in the vision. And, sometimes you bump your head up against the wall before you realize, wait a minute, oh, this is not how this is supposed to go, and I was taught better than this, but you rub, you rub the, the dust off your kneecaps, and you get up and move
back up again.
You do. And sometimes your parents, yes, they want to do it for you, but you're like, Mom and Dad, if you do it for me, I will never learn. I will never learn, and I will never learn and move forward, right? And I will never get the value that you're teaching me because I will never, really get the tools that I'm supposed to learn in this process. So, that's so true, just in our process. And I want us to talk about that a little bit too. A lot of times we have to understand, and it's in our topic too, as far as the learning curve, right? We have to understand, the beginner phase, and the intermediate phase, and, the mature phase. There's phases through life, that are a benefit, but we have to get through those phases. And, isn't that true just as far as, understanding, just your children, and understanding even the people that we're mentoring that are watching us, that, I got a calling, but I don't know what it is. It's like, let me promise you, it's within you. Just watch, what God's doing for you.
I love that, Lekeisha. Yes. You said look within you. It's within you, but we look outward. We look at what others are doing, and God has been telling us all along. I remember when I wrote my first book, Wake Up Call, Waking Up to God's Purpose in You. And the purpose of that book was to help people understand their purpose and God's plan. Genesis 1:28, he told us to go. He told us to take dominion. And be over everything. So he's given us power. So why would God give us power to do nothing? Why would he give us power and gifts and talents different to look alike and to do what the other person is doing.
Right.
How in the world will we have inventors and creators and all of these type of people, scientists, if we just follow the status quo? So we have to go against the grain. What are you saying to me? And so during that time, as I researched for that book, Wake Up Call, God had me to go back to my own neighborhood and revisit it. Revisit my neighborhood, revisit my school, my junior high school, revisit some things that happened to me there. I'm in a new school, in a new city, and people began to reach out to me, and they began to share their stories and their pain. Young girls, 14 years old, they saw that I was a safe place. And one of them was in an abusive, her mother was abusing her. One was going through similar situation where her dad was an alcoholic and he was abusive. And they sought me out. I'm on the playground and I want to play with the other kids. But they saw that I was a safe place. So in this season, God took me all the way back because I did the beauty shop. I did the learning center. I did the adult daycare. But I was still empty. I was still out of gas. I made a lot of money. I built the house, but I was still out of place. And so I'm seeking out to God. What is it? And he took me on that journey to show me. It was in you all along, back when you were 14 years old, when these young girls reached out to you. It was always there. all I'm taking you through life is to sharpen those tools that I've already given you.
Absolutely.
So here we are, still sharpening the tools.
Isn't it a pleasure? Isn't it a benefit and exciting to understand that our tools are constantly being sharpened? You know, God is forever molding the clay. He's not done. I don't think he's ever going to be done molding the clay in our lives, especially in the new seasons, right? We're understanding new seasons. You know, we're still growing. It's like, remember, you start like the learning curve. You start at the beginning stage. You don't start at the mature stage in the new season. You start in the beginning. And you're learning the process, right? And that come to play with other people coming into your life. So I'm saying that to say, right, when, you know, and we were talking about this earlier today too, just as far as when you're entering a new season, a lot of times God is connecting you with different people that are a part of that season with you. You might have been in that last season by yourself, but other people are supposed to be with you in this season for you, in order for you to make, you know, the things that are supposed to work in this season for God's glory, right? So isn't that an interesting? I feel that you guys have a key nugget of wisdom to share with the audience on that.
Wow. You start with that, babe. Well, we were talking a little bit about that today as well. We get so used to the status quo. You know, my childhood friends, my family, we've been here and we've been together forever. We always do this and we always do that. Sometimes you outgrow people, and it's okay, because some people are for a season and some are for a lifetime. So we are to know the difference. There are some people I carried into different seasons, much like Abraham did Lot, and Lot grieved and hindered his process. And so sometimes we have to let go and understand when people are trying to pull away from you, God, what are you saying in this season? I'm saying when people show you their hand, believe them. When they cut you, believe them. You've outgrown them, and they're not for this season. You know, people turn against you, and people come against you, and people just die because I grew up with her, because we've been together. We were best friends. I can't believe she's hurting me like this. I can't believe he walked away from me. All things work together for the good of them that love God. So understand that. You know, one of the things that God said to me when he called me early on, over 30-some years, he He said, this walk will be a lonely walk. What are you talking about, God? I have a great, big, large, loving, caring family. But we don't all walk alike. We're not in the same spiritual place. Mm-hmm. So that's lonely. Yeah. When you don't have someone that can talk on your level, you outgrow people, and you're supposed to outgrow. If you're the strongest person in your group, guess what? You're in the wrong group. I need someone to pull me up. I need someone to stretch me wide and sharpen my iron.
You know, but on the other side of that, as Lekeisha had noted, there are people for a season that God has planted in our lives, but we pluck them out prematurely.
Too soon.
And we have to know the difference of the seasons of what people that God has placed in our lives, and for the reasons that they put. And just like you said, you want someone that's going to sharpen you. I got a brother back now in Charlotte, and he and we sharpen each other. He'll correct me with the word, I correct him, and that's how we do. And it's that part in that season that he's in my life, that and it was a time where I needed him. I needed that chastisement.
Wow.
As a man of God. So God puts people in your lives for a certain, but you got to know when and why these people are in your lives, and not pluck them out before it's time.
That's good. That's real
good. That is real good, and that is a definitely unique season to be in, because I understand that season right now, because I went through a season where everyone left, in a sense of understanding what God has for me, like, just even what I'm doing now, in this ministry, they're like, wow, in other words, you're not doing things the way we were taught to do it. So you're doing scripture different. This is, wait a minute, why aren't you, because my dad went to Bible school and everything. My dad, wanted me to go, and I said, Dad, I can't go right now. This is not what God wants me to go into business right first. And he's like, business? No, why are you going to college for business? No, I want you to go to Bible school first. I said, Dad, I will. That is, yes, that's in my season, but not right this minute. I have to go through this process first. So, it all makes sense now, but I really got ridiculed just in that season before, and just what, God had for me. So a lot of times you have to move forward and understand that you might be by yourself, and it feels like a wilderness. It feels like, wow, God, did I really hear you? Are you sure this is correct? And you have to really, trust them.
We definitely went through that season. We pastored that church for 14 years. We grew that church. We opened a learning center. We opened an adult daycare center. And we were in an amazing season. I mean, our house was right next door. I could walk out and run the daycare and do payroll and whatever I had to do. I mean, we were just in an amazing season.
Yeah, until the bottom
fell out. But before the bottom fell out, God said to me, he asked the question. He said, one day I was looking out my window as the parishioners were coming up and parking. I mean, we gotten so large, so they were parking on my lawn, and the church had a great lawn, and they were parking on the lawn, and I was looking out the window, and I heard the Holy Spirit say, what would you do if one day this was no more? And I said to God, I will still serve you. So when the folks walked away, I had already made a commitment to God that I would still serve you. And when God even showed me one day that our ministry was larger than a church building, that he called us to the world, I didn't quite understand. I didn't quite understand what he he was saying then. But as this last question, do you appreciate the learning curve? Now I get to appreciate that learning curve. So what he was saying is just let go and let me.
That was some deep curves.
Oh my God, it was deep, babe. It was so deep. And to the point we had to go back and say, God, did you really tell us to move to Charlotte? You know, people were calling us, our pastor friends, they were calling and saying, hey, what are y'all doing? Why did y'all leave your big brick church? Why did you leave your business? What are you doing there? Oh, we're undergirding other ministries. That doesn't make sense. What do you do for money? What do? You left your business. Are you going to start a business there? Are you going to start a church? Nope. God didn't tell us to.
My goodness. You know, God is truly, truly awesome, and He is divine in what He does. And mind you, it's funny, the right people will see it in the end, but we can't wait for them to see it. We have to trust Him that He has our back. I'm not going to lie to you. It's funny. I knew God was with me, but at the same time, you don't see all the pieces. But you know what? I tell you, you got to carry God's arsenal of gifts that He's given you, the tools, all the testimonies that He's given to you, that He's always with you, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel what God is doing. Gosh, you know, you both are amazing, and God is truly doing so many things in your life, and just showing the kingdom of God, really just how good He is. You got to let us know moving forward the projects that you have and what's transpiring in your arsenals for the next for 2020, because that's where we're at right now. So please let us all know how to stay connected with you moving forward, because you're just an arsenal of wisdom, and we definitely have to stay connected with you.
Oh yes, absolutely, and thank you so much for having us on your platform. We were just so elated and just so honored and humbled by this, and we just thank you so much for what you're doing, and you do the same as well as it comes to your events and things that you're doing as well.
Yes, because it's indeed a new season for us, and I believe that this is a part of the process. You know, God connects you with like-minded people for a reason and for a season. And I do believe that there's a great connection here. So thank you so much for having us.
Wow. Well, it's truly an honor just to have you both on the Lekeisha Mosley Show. Definitely what God is doing, I'm totally open to everything, because you know what, I'm not afraid to, of the unknown, because God is, He's always surprising and delighting us all, right? So I'm just so thankful for both of you and everything that you have moving forward. Please let us know the social media platforms and all of your, definitely your radio show. Everyone needs to know your network and how to stay connected with you as well.
Absolutely. We will definitely forward that information over to you.
Awesome. Because I know you're on Facebook. Are you on
We're
Instagram,
on Facebook,
Twitter?
We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, iHeart. What were some of the other? We're on 7 radio platforms and 2, about 4 television platforms, and iTunes and Google Play, and we're on a lot of them. We're on a lot of platforms, and so and we're in the Love and Marriage or Wake Up Call network. You can find us both ways.
Absolutely, and definitely you have to stay connected, and definitely purchase their amazing books. Definitely Wake Up Call is a definite book everyone wants to purchase, you guys, and definitely need to purchase When the Vows Break. You definitely need that wisdom that they have within those books and all the books that they have. So definitely make sure you stay tuned to this beautiful, beautiful couple. God is truly doing some amazing new things in them, and I'm just so thankful for you. So definitely when you come up with anything new, any new projects, I totally am honored to have you back on the Lekeisha Mosley Show.
We would be honored to come back.
Yes, absolutely.
We
Thank
would
you.
definitely be honored.
Thank you so much.
Amen. Thank you both. So we're going to go ahead into the last segment of the show, which is Lekeisha's love letter of healing, encouragement, and empowerment. And we're going to focus on Romans 8:17. And we're going to go ahead into that verse. And it's, now if we are children and we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ, if indeed we share in his sufferings in order that we may also share in his glory. So I just want to encourage everyone just in that scripture to understand that we are not by ourselves. And we were not equipped, with nothing. We were equipped and we are heirs of God and with our big brother Jesus. And we need to understand that as we move forward into our different seasons that we have in life, that we have an arsenal of God's blood within us. God is with you in everything that you are doing. Know that you are chosen, that you are royalty. Your blood is royalty. God loves you so much, and I want you to know that I love you. I want you to stay tuned and understand that God loves you and that the season that you're in is truly ordained by him. So I want you guys to understand and remember in all you do, lead with confidence, understanding, and love always. I love you so much, and we're going to go ahead and go into the next segment with Jerry Royce Live Late Night with Jerry Royce and Shay Sam. Thank you so much. Have a good night.